Welcome to another episode of Bloq.On.Tour, the Bloq.it podcast where we document the ultimate news around our projects, the last mile, and out-of-home industries as a whole. This time, we visited DeinFach's offices in Bonn, Germany, to talk about the launch of their open network powered by Bloq.OS software solutions.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Bloq.it podcast, hosted by Bloq.it, Bloq.On.Tour. Today we're in Bonn, in DeinFach offices. We've just seen the live launch of highly anticipated DeinFach locker network. Because the network got a lot of attention and the announcements, we decided to talk to the main characters directly. And here with me, I have the CEO of DeinFach, Lucas. I have head of product, Elena, and head of IT, Lian. So thanks for joining, and hope you can share with us more about just preparation for the launch and also what are we to expect moving forward. So maybe, Lucas, we can start with you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about just this build up to the launch? What are some of the highlights from behind the scenes that you can share with us?
Yeah. So generally, I think the fun part was actually that once we received the decision to build up this company, we had the opportunity to ramp up a team, but it was also necessary to ramp it up very fast, as you can imagine. And this is a good thing, but on the other hand, it was the most challenging thing because in between, we directly needed to build up the processes, do the concepts, starting the cooperation with Bloq.it, with the other providers, and so on and so far, while building all the solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, this was the most challenging part. But generally, it was fun building up the team from scratch, right? So I think this was amazing to see the team growing, not only in quantity, but also in quality and the team spirit.
Right. How difficult was it managing all the partners and different parties and putting all this together in a full scope of preparing the launch?
Difficult.
Right.
Difficult, but good, because everybody was eager to participate and to contribute, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was never the feeling that the different stakeholders, although they have different ambitions on their own company targets, that they are not eager or contributing to the target of DeinFach.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore was at the very beginning, we needed to build up the team DeinFach also
Mm-hmm.
with our providers.
Right.
But after that, it was really good in a really cooperational way and collegial way. Not sure whether this is a word, to cooperate and finally getting all the things together and guys together, because this was crucial that we are not, while we are working from Portugal, Spain, Germany, and wherever, coming together,
Mm-hmm.
talking in person to each other to get to know each other.
Right.
This was crucial.
So, Elena, not only speaking of challenges, what would you say were some of the highlights that perhaps you like the most about preparing the launch?
Yeah, I think the highlights to me was really like the team building up, right? So we really successfully managed, even though we were a small team in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
to get everyone on board, to have this content knowledge, but also like the team spirit. And I think
Mm-hmm.
the team spirit is really cool at our place. So we could really make it in time, and now we are live, and we're super happy about this team effort together with our partners and our internal team.
Sounds great. Lian, maybe a question for you regarding the product. So the product, because of the different concept, had to be a little bit different. How would you say is the product that you're launching different from those currently on the market?
Because our product, our DeinFach product, is an autonomous product, and it's an open network which is already in place, but not especially like us.
Right. So that's actually a great leeway for me, the open network. Lucas, Germany already has a carrier-specific network.
Yeah.
Why would you say the country needs an open network, or why the open network concept is important in the market?
Yeah, so I think it's generally helpful for all countries, but also in Germany, where for sure there is one big network leader with almost 15,000 lockers. So we listened to the market, right? So we heard about politics, about companies, about also the other courier logistics companies saying that it would be good to have one spot where all the companies, where all recipients can drop off or return receive their parcels. And finally, that was actually the most important reason to launch that issue, right? Because for sure, everybody's talking about carbon neutrality and reducing traffic jams and general traffic at all. So the logistics traffic, but also the individual traffic. And I'm not a fan of the big numbers of how many % of carbon will be reduced per parcel, because it depends somehow, right? But I'm a fan of the qualitative thesis that we're saying, well, if I as a customer doesn't need to go to 5 parcel shops to receive 5 parcels, but I have to go to one locker or location to receive 5 parcels, this is quite easy to understand, right? And that's why the reason why we decided to do so. And yeah, building up from scratch and going into that market for the multi-tenancy capability to integrate different partners with different wishes, with different processes, with different user interactions, and so on and so forth. And this is why we did it.
Right. Open network is still a little bit of a new concept. What do you think is the first thing you had to solve or add, a challenge to overcome to get the ball rolling when it comes to building an open network?
Yeah, I think, and this is not a secret, right? So we are 100% DHL daughter. And the first and most important thing was to overcome that we are really open. And not only a yellow machine painted white, right? And now with UPS, this is exactly what happened. And this is what we already talked from the very beginning, or explained from the very beginning. And now we can show it and trust everybody, or everybody can trust us that we are doing that. So I think this is one of the most important steps towards the rollout now. And on the other hand, especially for discussions with other partners, it's the real independency on our systems, right? So we build up everything from scratch with a new hardware, with a new software, with Bloq.OS, to be independent, to be agile, to be flexible on the carrier's wishes. And that's what we did. And this is actually the most important part for our open locker network.
Makes sense. Elena, when you look at the final customers trying to onboard the open network, what are the main challenges that you solve for them?
For end customers,
what is the main proposition for the end customer?
I think we all know that pain of like getting deliveries during your workday, right? So you're not at home, you get deliveries of different carriers, and then Saturday morning you're spending basically your entire day of like just trying to get these parcels picked up in different parcel shops with limited working hours, right?
Right.
And I think this is really the pain point that we want to solve for end customers, of having one box for everything, right? We want to try to get them delivered all the parcels in. They go there once at the time they prefer, and then they have all their parcels in. And it's just that really, this is also one of the pillars that we're having in product development, right? We're looking at convenience for customers. So convenience in terms of going there once, but also convenience in going there and making it easy for them to use, right? So with easy processes, with user-friendly processes, we're doing lots of UX research in our team just to make it as easy as possible for our end customers.
Right. Do you think that gets different than would be building a courier-specific or closed network?
I think it's different from the end customer point of view, right? Because basically you can do lots more things with that one parcel locker, right? So first of all is, of course, the courier use cases where you get parcels, right? But we also envision to have the click and collect use cases where basically you can also try, or like not try, you will get your orders from different shops in the city, and then you can get everything in one place, not just going 10 different ways. And I think this is also what I personally really like about this idea, because I know the pain point of Saturday morning just spending time to
collecting parcels everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think so. I entirely agree, and I think it's important to add that, because when we look at Germany, which is a really traditional country with regards to house door delivery, right? Looking in the other European countries, especially Nordics, Baltics, or general Eastern Europe, it's a completely different behavior, right? So the recipient is used to drive like half an hour to the next shop to buy something, and therefore those locker behavior, receiving lockers over there and doing everything in one stop, is already there. And looking at click and collect business in England or in the UK, it's weird, right? It's already there. It's one of the major things customers receive their goods, and that's why we want to offer that as well, right? We want to achieve that we've on an instance to have really smooth and convenient processes to receive the parcels, but they're not waiting for the parcel, they are waiting for the goods, right? And that's why it really needs to be, as Elena said, really convenient and easy to receive and interact with the locker on the one hand, but also to fulfill different kind of business cases at the locker or at the spot around it, like shopping or like click and collect or like dropping anything else, right? And this is what a locker maybe changes from the past. Just drop something or receive something into it eases my life.
Maybe a question on that. So the value proposition is there and it's very useful. Are you worried at all about the end customer adoption of your solution? Maybe that's even a question for the entire industry.
Yeah.
But since you just launched your own network, is that a worry for you?
Sure, we are thinking about that, right? But we thought about that when we launched the product, respectively when we launched the company, and that's why we decided not to build up a new app solution, the 5th or 6th app a recipient needs to install and to interact with, but we are integrating if the carrier or our partner wants into their processes seamlessly. So actually, the recipient knows DeinFach, knows that there is a locker, knows the address of the locker, but it might be that the carrier decides we want to use our individual processes to interact. The whole communication process stays with the carrier or with the partner. So there is no new app needed for us to interact with us. There's no registration needed to interact with us or to use us. It's really depending on what the carrier wants. We have a standard solution which we can offer, and this mainly offers an interaction on the locker, which is standardized and will be applicable for all partners who want to use it. But if there are already experienced partners with their experienced customer processes and customer experience processes, we can integrate like that, and then it's up to them to communicate. And therefore, we are not worried about that because we are somehow already there because we use established processes from the partners.
Yeah. And I think to add on this, right, I think it's also generation perspective, right? So in the past, of course, like people like to get home delivery and they really prefer to be home, right? But now people are like, they are in the offices, they are returning back somewhere else, they are traveling, right? And I think this is a different generation and they like to use parcel lockers, and it's just about like convincing them once. And then convincing them once with quality, and then you can get them rolling, and then they will spread the word, and hopefully more people will use it also in Germany.
Right. Speaking of the app and the user experience, Lian, probably the roadmap, it's more dynamic and different than would be just building a closed network. What are some of the things when you look at the product roadmap that you would say you're the most excited about implementing? Whatever you can reveal today, of course.
Yeah, sure. The first thing is the most important to get more customers and to integrate them into our network. And Elena mentioned it already before. We plan also a click and collect solution, which is also planned for this year. And
with retailers and
yeah. And this is, I think, also an exciting way for us.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is also what is currently missing in Germany. At least from my perspective, because for sure, every huge company is able to integrate via API and so on and so far. Everybody has an IT department if you are a big company. But especially those locker business is reliable or strongly depends on individual shops and locations on site. And if you cannot offer them not only a little bit more traffic, but also offer them the possibility to participate in the e-commerce and the omni-channel business, why should they help you to find a location?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the cooperation approach we want to try. And therefore, it's about a web portal, which we build up together with Bloq.OS, saying, well, if you're not a big one, not having like hundreds or 50 of IT guys around you, you can choose the web portal to try whether the click and collect business is good for you as well. And if so, we could talk about a deep integrated solution. If not, go ahead with the web portal solution. And this is, I think, really important to try or to help smaller customers and partners to participate in the e-com, because it's still somehow feared, especially by retailers or single retailers, that e-com for sure from a transformation perspective is ruining their life. But it's not like it is, I think. It's not like it is, sorry, because it can be additional business opportunities for them as well. That's what we try to achieve.
And it will also make inner cities more attractive in Germany, right? So in Germany, we have a lot of issues like of smaller shops dying because the big guys, the e-com ones, they are taking away their business, right? And by using basically then parcel lockers, they can also offer the benefits that you have in online shopping to their customers. So like picking up at the time you want, going there whenever you want, and just being a little bit more without too much people interaction, right? Because I think it's also a generation issue. Like people don't like to interact that much anymore. And that's why I think parcel lockers are also helping really the city centers to stay alive and keep the business open.
Makes sense. Lucas, to complete this category, I have a question for you. I'm not sure if that's something that you revealed today or not, or if it's something on your mind, but it was on mine, which is DeinFach network focused on Germany, even in the future? Or is there also, you think, an opportunity to expand beyond Germany?
Never say never, right? But at this point in time, we're only focusing on Germany, which is challenging enough. So let's cross the bridge when we get there. But today and for the next few years, I think we have a lot to do here in Germany to fulfill our targets or to achieve our targets. And therefore, it's currently only Germany, yes.
Okay. So I would actually go to our next segment. I think it's very interesting. So as I said initially, this announcement got a lot of attention. So we went around and we asked our industry friends, the people that you usually see from LinkedIn and in the magazines and industry niche newspapers, and we asked them to send us some questions for you guys. So I'm just going to go through the list. So the first one is from Hazel from Parcel and Post Technology International. And Hazel would like to know, how important is collaboration in developing open networks and meeting, obviously, ever-changing consumer needs in the last mile? This question can be for anyone.
I can answer it. I think it's super important to have these collaborations, right? Because I think everyone has their knowledge spark and their strength. And we really try to bring all the best parties in this industry together to work with us, right? To solve the solution, like to get to the solution. We have Bloq.OS, your software, right? We have good lockers. So we really try to bring the best out of everything. And I think this is why really collaboration is necessary and good.
Completely agree. So, as we already said, we have we have many stakeholders, and building up one team to achieve one target together or having one vision is crucial, and therefore collaboration is everything.
We have a next question is from Marek from Last Mile Experts. So Marek is asking, how many lockers will the DeinFach have?
Yeah, so I cannot promise anything, right? So for 2025, as we already said, we want to have at least thousands in Germany. Everything above is good. So we are happy to go there. Anything else will be dependent on different factors, right? On the retailers, on the authorities, on the weather as well, because building up a locker is not only like, oh, I go there and drop a locker, but it's also like building things where we are depending on external factors. So this is for 2025, and for 2026 and other years, we need to focus, so step by step, right? So in the end of this year, we will announce our our targets for 2026
Mhm.
and so on and so far. And then we are seeing where we get there.
Is there an end ambition that is even possible to share, or a goal?
Well, I think it's difficult because it really depends on the density of a network, on the usage of a network, and so on and so far. So I cannot tell any big number for like 2030 or 2035 or something right now, because we need to experience how it's used by recipients, by our customers, by our partners as well. But I'm pretty sure that it will be the biggest open network in Germany.
Moving to the next question. So Bernard from Postal Innovation sent us a little bit longer one with some context. So he says delivery companies can rent locker space with DeinFach. This could help delivery companies expand their network without investing in their own lockers. So it's easier to scale for them. The downside might be branding and visibility. So how difficult is it to bring delivery companies to rent and use DeinFach lockers?
Everybody knows, or at least from the logistic provider, everybody knows which kind of efficiency, or how can they increase the efficiency by dropping 10 parcels instead of 1. Most of the companies know how costly it is to build up and operate a locker network, because you need to invest a lot. And in between, there is the price effect, right? So generally speaking, I don't have the feeling that it's a real commercial topic, but it's more about the efficiency and the way we integrate them, right? So if they have the feeling, and they luckily have, that we are doing a partnership with them, that we are taking their requirements and demands and transferring them into the processes as they wish. I think the commercial one is important, but not the major thing here. It's really about the convenience for recipients and the efficiency on their careers, because everybody who wants to run business in the B2C business, especially in the e-commerce B2C business, needs a dense or applicable network in the last mile sector. And this is what we offer.
And I think it's also about reducing complexity together, right? It's not just we ask them to integrate themselves, right? But we're also really doing projects together. We are like helping them. We're defining requirements together. We are like looking at how they can best integrate into our existing solution, but also how we can adapt to cater for their differences and needs, right? So I think it's really a team effort again in here on making this as fast and as easy as possible for everyone.
All right. Moving to the next question. The next question comes from Andre Weiskemeister. Actually, he sent 2 questions, and the first one is for me. And Andre is asking me how the question I actually asked already to you, but what is how different it was developing the software for an agnostic network. And I think what we felt is, obviously, there are different features in terms of the capacity management, trying to accommodate different carriers. It's different. It was much more complex, but I think I would do my technical team a favor if I don't answer this too detailed, and I think we can share more insights. But it's what we've also experienced behind the scenes much more complex than building the closed networks. But I can say that from the Bloq.it side, we were very happy to work on that, because we want to have this type of experience. And we also believe that in open networks, to some degree, are part of the parcel locker or out of home future. So for us, it's been a great journey. And what he's asking actually to Lucas directly is, as you're parcel, an agnostic network, parcel oriented, he's exploring a lot of different locker use cases, even for residential, for offices, and so on. And what he's asking is something that you would consider lockers also for different use cases that are not parcel first.
Yeah. Well, as Eleanor already said, so click and collect does not need to be parcel oriented, but it's just based on goods. But there are several general use cases you can imagine, like storing of baggage or luggage and so on and so far. So I think it was the general idea of having lockers comes from train stations, right? So this for sure is a use case. It's like especially for the C2C business, like eBay or whomever, selling private things and so on, and giving a handover, which is somewhat crucial, respectively, where we need to be cautious about it because it offers the opportunity to share goods in one spot, picking up by a different person, which maybe 99% may be good, but maybe the 1% is not so good. So we need to look at that. But I think there are many cases we don't even know yet. So, and this is what I'm really curious about, to see what's coming up. And I think this is why Bloq.OS and DeinFach fit perfectly together, being agile, being flexible to adapt new situations and realize new business cases together. So I cannot promise anything about new use cases because now we made our locker business, but we are open to discuss everything. So come on.
And I think we have many ideas in our heads, right? But we are focusing right now on the base, like getting started, right? And then really rolling up the next years.
Yeah, exactly.
The next question comes from Bianca from Reverse Logistics Association, and she's asking actually both of us, what can DeinFach and Bloq.it do to reduce returns in the last mile? So where Bloq.it positions is we enable the trends. We try to be an enabler. So we provide the technology that the trends require. How we could reduce returns, I'm not sure if we're in a position. Maybe DeinFach actually has more to do in terms of how to reduce the returns.
Yeah, well, it's not as easy. It's not black and white, right? So on the one hand, returns is one of the major use cases for the locker industry in general. But on the other hand, we are talking about carbon neutrality and reducing traffic and everything like this, and reducing packaging. So we need to reduce packaging and all. But I think this can't be done just on Bloq.OS or one locker provider. This needs to be the whole industry. So, and not only the industry, but also the recipients, right? So it's common to order like 5 pair of shoes, knowing that you will never buy all of them. But it's easy. It's easy. And this is from a convenience factor, it's completely okay, but everybody knows what's going on outside. So I think we need to change, or the customers also need to contribute to that approach. And without them, we will never change that. And having said that, for sure, then we are talking about the e-commerce shops saying, well, if I'm not offering that, the customer will not buy on my shop.
Yeah.
And so it's a circle, right? It's a devil circle, but it's a circle.
It's an ecosystem that needs to change. So in terms of what we see in terms of a solution provider, we're getting more and more requests to accommodate lockers to also be a better solution for returns. We're talking about the drop of columns and just creating a space for the returns. I think an issue is that returns are free, right? Which is great from consumer experience perspective and convenience. Do you think free returns are here to stay, or is this something that is just a trendy now and is not going to be free forever? Because that could then drastically change the ecosystem.
Online shops are always reacting to it, right? So they already have different limits of order volumes where they say if you're below, you have to pay for returns, right? Or you have to pay for the delivery at least. So I think the industry is already looking into it, but I'm not sure whether you can fully force free returns, because there will always be some players who have free returns, right? And then if the others don't offer it, they will lose their customers.
They lose the customers, but the cost is somewhere else, right?
Exactly.
I think they could be agree. I think there are different approaches. So on the one hand, there could be a maximum size of goods being ordered of one thing. So if I'm choosing like 5 pairs of shoes, maybe it's just okay to order 2, right? To have, well, you need to choose one of those or both, but you're not ordering the whole shop, right? So to have a party at home. So this could be one. I'm not thinking that that it will be all returns you need to pay for. I don't believe it. But another approach could be that we reduce the packaging. So there are already players who offer unpacked returns, right? It's again then something which the customer needs to understand and to trust it, that you're sending a good without any packaging around the world with an LKW, with a truck or something. And so it will be interesting, but I think it's not about reducing returns in general, because this is a trend which currently is really evolving and increasing, but we need solutions which therefore reduce the carbon and packaging and traffic there. And this also could be a click and collect topic, because if you're ordering click and collect on shop, you don't have a package. You don't have a shipment because it's just on site. You don't have a car. So, and I think this is what could help.
Hazel would like to know, how is the German last mile market evolving, and what differences, challenges are there compared to other European markets that you might notice?
I think compared to the Nordics, for example, we are still lagging behind, right? Just to be very honest, I think Germany and German people still prefer having home deliveries. But I think the trend is going toward the right direction, right? So we are seeing more and more customers using parcel lockers in Germany. We're seeing more and more people getting into it and like actually looking for it. So I think there is definitely a trend, but we still have a lot of way to go in Germany. Because people still tend to order to their home and then rather get them rerouted if they're not home, instead of directly addressing it to the parcel locker that they could do.
Yeah. And I think other way around, this offers a huge chance for Germany, right? Especially in the locker business, because as I'm not aware of the real numbers of Poland and Nordics, but it's crazy how many parcels are received at a locker with somehow 3 delivery times per day and so on and so far. Meaning this, I think we have less than 5% in Germany of the shipments go to a locker, right? But we are talking about billions of shipments in general in Germany. So just increasing 1% is really a huge volume for a locker. And this is our chance. But as Elena said, and I'm not convinced that it will be like the Nordics or Baltics. It will increase, but it will always be the household delivery as well, because Germany has rural areas, right? And you have the neighborhood which you trust and so on and so far. There are a lot of different recipient services which do not need a locker. So talking about cities, tick in the box, this will be increasing a lot. Talking about rural areas, I'm not so sure, because there are solutions in place which work pretty well. And why should you change if you have the possibility to receive your parcel at home? Although you're not there, why should you change it? Completely okay. But in a city, different behavior.
So when you look at Germany, it has a lot of lockers in the absolute numbers, but comparing this to how big the country is, it's far from the numbers that we see in the other countries. There's this chicken and egg question in the industry. Should you first wait for the adoption and then expand the locker network, or does the expanding the locker network actually creates an adoption? What do you think it's happening here than in Germany? Do you think with a bigger density you could change the customer behavior more aggressively?
Absolutely. So especially in cities. So you need to build up a dense network, but we need to have a look at it, because if you build up like small lockers all over the place, you didn't even save any traffic, carbon or something, because it's just one locker beside the door of the recipient. So it's about finding a network which actually offers maximum density and convenience for the customer, most efficiency for the couriers, and from a logistics, respectively city logistics and carbon neutrality perspective, you need a network which reduces traffic as well. So it doesn't make any sense from my perspective to build up a DeinFach to next door for every door, like 100,000 DeinFach lockers, because it doesn't help anyone with regards to carbon neutrality and traffic reduction. No one. So it needs to be a compromise of everything. And I think the locker is a perfect answer for that. Being flexible, being independent from a recipient perspective, choosing your location, 24/7 approach. This is the future, but it really depends on where the location is finally spotted.
And having a close one next to your home, right? So, I mean, you're only using a parcel locker if it's easy for you, if you can pick up a parcel after coming back from work at a train station, or if it's like really close to your home. I mean, there's also some calculation, right? Where you think, okay, how many meters should there in between so that people still are using parcel lockers?
Yeah.
And I think this is really the case why it definitely makes sense to expand and then getting people using it. And so I'm pretty sure that we will make people use it.
They're waiting for us.
So sleeper's distance to the locker is real. Where's the flip-flop distance now?
Yeah, the question is,
as long as you can walk to it.
Exactly. So what is slipper distance, right? So for the one it's longer, for the other one it's nearer. But yeah, something in between.
Yeah. For me, it's to the porch, and then it's with the shoes, but it's maybe not for today. And we're at the last question from the industry friends. So we have Peter from Logistics Business Magazine. And Peter actually directed the question a little bit more to the Bloq.it side. He's asking that, sure, the products are different, but from the retailer's perspective, what advantages come with Bloq.it's offering versus competitors? It's an interesting question. If I modify it a little bit, lockers to the final users do feel and should feel very much alike. I think the biggest difference is felt then with the partners that we work with, both on the location side and the partners like DeinFach, who is in charge and responsible for the infrastructure. I think Bloq.it differentiates in terms of its flexibility and customizability, maybe focusing on this project specifically where we've been a software partner. I think one of the things that helped us get up to speed was to be career agnostic in our core and hardware agnostic. So I hope that answers the Peter's question. To wrap up, maybe just a question for the three of you, or one. It's really up to you. What would be the message that you would like to share at the end to all of our listeners and followers and people that are dying to know more about DeinFach's next steps?
Yes. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining in this episode and having the possibility to make that podcast with you. We loved it. If you have any questions, just reach out directly, right? So join us on LinkedIn or whomever. We're excited and curious to get in contact with you. And let's make it happen, right? Let's build up the biggest open locker network in Germany.
And watch out for things that are yet to come, right? We have big plans. We will roll out a lot this year. So watch out, be curious, and just try to use the parcel lockers, and then you will be convinced, I think.